I'm Linda Roberts. I'm a public art evangelist and an occasional academic. Let's leave Melbourne for a moment and go to another creative city, Berlin. This is their new National Gallery, designed by Mies van der Rohe. Don't worry, it's not going up in smoke. What you're seeing here is a pyrotechnic installation by artist Fabian Nisch. He exemplifies this city's burning creativity. Back home in Melbourne, Melbourne defines itself as a creative city. We have art on many corners, whether it's Jeff Kennett's cheese stick ushering you into the city, whether it's the much-loved bronze dog Larry Latrobe, or public art lining our laneways. But creativity is not just the arts. The economic benefits for arts and culture in Victoria added $6.2 billion to our state economy. Investing in our creative identity yields substantial returns for both locals and visitors. To sustain our creative pulse, we need to redefine the lines between creative practice and urban spaces. Our urban spaces are under pressure and creative tensions are at play. Melbourne is growing at an extraordinary rate. Our population is doubling in the next 30 years. And with that growth, our skyline is about to be transformed. We have 100-metre towers being built to house many of up to 5 million new residents in the city. Increased density means the demand on public space is intensifying. The high quality, much loved public spaces which characterises inner city Melbourne is under threat. Scarcity of space has resulted in tighter restrictions, which then limits what artists can do. For example, when I moved to Melbourne 10 years ago, there was a sense of a creative possibility of that artists were transforming and using the city as a canvas. They were driving our laneway culture. This freedom is diminishing as the city grows. Is this what we want? Hard decisions need to be made about how we best use what we have, and we need to ensure that artists continue to use the city as their studio. It needs to be a place for diverse voices and cultural vibrancy through artistic expression. While at Public Art Melbourne, my colleagues and I recognised that the City of Melbourne was in a great position to enable artists to use the city as their studio. We needed to think differently. We sought out elements within the City of Melbourne, bureaucratic structures in which artists could harness so that they were empowered to intervene in the public realm. Like Fabian Nisch, in Berlin, we considered the city as a movie set. The City of Melbourne privileges film. It's an economic driver. It has a designated team to fast-track film studios to intervene in the city and make major interruptions. We realised that if an artist had a camera in their hand, they could harness these permitting processes and actually ensure that they had lights, camera, and now access to the city. Test sites invited artists to experiment with Melbourne's central city as an expanded film studio with seed funding, advice, and support. Responsiveness was at the program's core, both for artists to respond in situ to Melbourne's unique city spaces, but also for the city to provide seed funding that was fast, which required that artists did not have to wait a year until they had approvals. Test Sites was not just about funding and support, it was also about one-day workshops with leading practitioners. This built capacity for artists to take risks and to be ambitious with their ideas, both for now and into the future. The program prioritised chance encounters by not announcing when test light locations were. While this momentarily transformed the city experience, we still needed to be accountable to our ratepayers. So the key public outcome was an online visual essay as a mediated yet enduring experience. This recognised social media as a new public space. We gained over 130,000 unique online engagements. Test sites provided a platform to showcase artists not both locally but also internationally around the world. As Australia's fastest growing national city, we need to remember that artists and the way that they creatively engage with our public domain is absolutely intrinsic and one of Melbourne's prized possessions. It is one of the defining aspects that makes this one of the most livable cities in the world. To remain true to who we are and how we identify ourselves in this unique place, it is important and critical to ensure that local government organisations like the City of Melbourne continue to support experimental programs that enable artists to use the city as an experimental space. This will ensure our urban spaces remain alive with creative possibilities. Thank you.